Welcome to the Pigskin Party Podcast, the only podcast that combines real NFL analysis with a splash of pop culture and a dash of the random. Let's get this Pigskin Party started with your hosts, Brian McFadden, Will Southard, and Tommy Yu.
Welcome everybody to the PPP presented by Legit Football. My name is Brian. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening or watching, and tell a friend so we can grow this Pigskin Party. We got the full cast back. Tommy spent a week in Hawaii. Let us know how it went, dude.
Aloha, everyone. I'm back. I listened to the last show and things. I have notes, but I'll talk about that later. But for the most part, no. Yes. Hawaii was amazing, as everyone probably could imagine. So, oh man, so exhausted from my long week there. Just glad to be back and working now, right? That's the right thing to say.
Wait,
nailed it.
Wait, you don't have you're not married with kids, right?
Mm-mm.
Did you go with
He's married.
Parents?
Yeah.
Did you go with your parents?
No, I went with my wife.
He's
if I
not
went with
like
my
16.
parents, that would have sucked. But I know my parents listen to this pod because
nothing like a romantic getaway with your
sorry,
mom on a hammock.
So
Nothing
Tommy,
like
I guess we
getaway.
shouldn't be surprised that, with all the prep you do for this show and all your draft tape, that you would physically take notes on the airplane while listening to our show. Care to share some of the highlights of the notes that you took?
So the very first part, as I was listening, I was like, oh my gosh, Brian and Will has such good dynamics that they bring to the table. Like, they play off each other, and so everyone has an identity on this podcast. And I was like, all right, Brian, he's like the dad, he's like the host, he makes sure the show's on track, he has great information, great insight, he just keeps everything on track. Will is the funny guy. He's a contrarian, but he's hilarious. He has odd takes, but he's also really reasonable and entertaining, and just kind of, he's like the sprinkles on the cupcake. You're like, oh man, it's so much better because it has this extra thing. So I was like, what do I bring to the table? And I was like, dude, I'm just like that really emotional, contrarian, but not like the good contrarian like Will. Like, he's funny, and I'm just like mad all the time. Like, I was thinking back when I was wait, what team was I trashing? Oh, the Chargers. I don't even hate the Chargers, but on that podcast I randomly came off like a really big hater, and I was like, oh, so
Poor
I'm just
Justin Herbert, you just
I don't
drilled
know.
him
I
into
had
the
like
ground.
a raging hate boner for him that day. I love Herbert though, but I don't know. So I thought what I brought to the table is I'm just like, I ramble a lot. And that sucks. So it sucks for you guys. I don't bring much to the table, but that was my main takeaway. While I was jotting down notes, oh, that was a funny thing Will said. Oh, look what Brian did here.
Appeal.
But when I looked back on it, I was like, oh, damn, that sucks for them.
Well, Tommy, to be honest, I think you might just fill our diversity quota. So, Will.
Yep. What's that rule in the
Will,
NFL
you looked like
where
you were doing some jumping jacks when we
interview
got
a
started.
minority? One coaching rule?
Yeah, that's right. The Rooney
rule.
Tommy
I was
fills our
Rooney ruled in
rule.
here. That's why I'm here. I understand.
That's rude.
Will, how
I like
you
how
feeling?
Brian. Why do you dance to our intro every week? You just kind of
First of all, I saw Tyler dancing too, and we're gonna introduce him in a second.
More dancing. That's my contribution to the show. You got Dad keeping things on track. You got Will being that healthy, funny, contrarian. Tommy, I think you're the sex appeal of the show.
He really
and
is.
Me, I'm the background dancer. That's what I'm bringing to the Pigskin Party.
You know
So
who
back
danced
for the
this week
second
was
time.
Antonio Brown in the Titans secondary.
Oh God, yeah,
it's-
dancing with fists, man.
That's it.
Jeez.
That's AB
That's
to a
it.
T. So let's actually introduce our one of our two guests on, Tyler Rowland, back on the show for the second time. He is the host of the Locked On Titans podcast, sporting that big, colorful Titans flag behind him. Tyler, how you feeling, dude?
You know what? If I'm going to be 100% honest, I'm coming off a pretty rough bout of strep throat. I've been very busy, been not feeling my best, but luckily I woke up this morning feeling pretty good. And even if I'm questionable for the show, I'm a game time decision. I still found a way to strap up and get out here and play. So excited to be here and talk some football.
Tyler with the toughness rating of 99 on Madden.
You know the crazy thing about sickness nowadays, and I noticed this with my own kids, it used to be that you would cough to hide a fart. But now you fart to hide the cough. And it's just,
I'm not going to let you get
everything's
away
just
with
backwards.
that. Anthony posted that on social media today, our producer.
I
you
stole
it
it.
from
It
him.
was good.
Okay. Well, then we at least have to give him credit.
But he's not
Anthony-
here, so I could do that.
Okay, fair enough. But he can
You pay him enough, I can steal his shit.
drop some sound drops on you, and Anthony. So there you go. So we do have a second guest today. So Nate Orrow, who is the co-host of the Un-American Football Show, also a repeat guest, diehard Colts fan. It's like almost 2 a.m. where he is across the pond. Nate, welcome back to the show.
Hey guys, like Tyler, I'm in the middle of a bit of a sickness bout. Masks aren't mandated over here so much, and I keep forgetting one. So I'm not going to go back to the car now. I'm in the shop, and it's the first time I've had a cold since COVID hit. So masks, keep on wearing them because you're going to get ill. I'm coming in hot today because Will said something pretty derogatory about me a few weeks ago. So I'm here with I'm here with my knives out. I'm going to take him down.
There has been a bit of a rivalry on Twitter between Nate and Will and the comments of a number of posts from our podcast. Nate, care to address before we get started with the AFC South?
Well, yeah. I mean, you said I can't even remember what it is really.
Exactly.
I was really annoyed at the time, and then I was like, whatever, it's all fun. But no, he said something about my opinion not really mattering him because I'm British. And
That's accurate.
Just ignore everything I say.
And he doubles down. What an animal! What a baller!
So yeah, I'm here to say you're a Pats fan, or you're not even a Pats fan, are you? You're a Brady fan.
I'm a Patsy.
Fickle as hell. So shut the hell up.
That's good. I love it. I like it.
That's slam him down. I'm not even going to give Will a chance to retort because we are going to move on. We were going to start with the news and then go into our AFC South preview, but we're going to start with the preview because Tyler, busy man, got a place to be. We want to make sure to preview the division first. So obviously we've got a Titans podcaster on. We've got a Colts fan on. We've got the UK angle, which will eventually be the home of the Jaguars. So we're going to go ahead and preview the AFC South. As we have been doing, we're going to go team by team, starting with the 2020 standings top to bottom. So we'll start with the Titans, go to the Colts, then the Texans, and followed up by the Jaguars. We'll talk about some key additions, key departures for each team, coaching changes, key draft picks. Talk about what Vegas predicts each team will win, and then at the end, we'll each give our predictions on where this division will end up. So let's go ahead and start with the AFC South champion, Tennessee Titans from 2020. Key additions: wide receiver Julio Jones, cornerback Janoris Jackrabbit Jenkins. I think he's actually trying to go by Jackrabbit now.
You better put that in there or he will be very upset. Yeah.
Of course. Take the Janoris out. Just Jackrabbit Jenkins, edge rusher Bud Dupree, defensive line Danico Autry, and wide receiver Josh Reynolds, formerly of the Rams. Key departures: wide receiver Corey Davis, now with the Jets, cornerback Malcolm Butler, tight end Jonnu Smith, cornerback Desmond King, cornerback Adoree Jackson, safety Vinny Vaccaro. There's a little bit of a secondary question there. I'd love to hear more about that from Tyler. Wide receiver Adam Humphries and edge Jadeveon Clowney. Key 2021 draft picks: cornerback Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech, offensive tackle Dylan Radins out of North Dakota State, inside linebacker Monty Rice out of Georgia, and quarterback Elijah Molden, who seems to be having a pretty good preseason out of Washington. Coaching changes: offensive coordinator Todd Downing replaced Arthur Smith, who's now the head coach in Atlanta, and defensive coordinator Shane Bowen replaced Dean Pease, who is also now in Atlanta. Vegas is predicting a win total right now of 9 wins. So we're going to start with Tyler on this. How are you feeling about the Titans with regards to the rest of the division in 2021?
Well, just, going off the last piece of information you said there about the over-under on the wins being 9, I would hammer the over on that for the Titans. Honestly, I thought the Titans would be around 9 to 10 wins, but once you get the acquisition of Julio Jones, I think it allows the Titans offense to be as good and as efficient as it has the past 2 years, and they certainly have to be improved on defense at this point with everything that they've added via the draft and via free agency. So I know there's a lot of fantasy talk on this podcast, but just for the gambling angle, I would hammer that over on the 9 wins, but feeling pretty good about the rest of the division and what they could pose. I mean, the Colts are always going to be a good team. They have a really solid program over there. GM Chris Ballard consistently hitting on picks. Oh God, I try to talk nice about the Colts and they get me with the nay sound. But
no, that's
either
the
way,
Colts sound, Tyler. It's the Colts sound because it's all
Anthony,
right.
That sounded like a very young horse. That's a good point.
You can't drop a Colts sound drop without a Titan sound. That's not fair to Tyler. Nate's probably loving it, but do we have a Titan sound drop?
I'm absolutely loving it.
Okay.
A
I don't know what that.
it.
I don't
That
know how
sounds
that's a
very
Titans.
Titanic.
Okay, we'll take
Thanos
it.
just arrived. Like, what the hell?
Either
That's the
way,
sound,
I
that's the
just
sound
think
that plays when I walk into the bedroom with my lady.
I need to get that then on my Bluetooth. But I just think where the Titans are at right now, the Jags are building something that could be good, but they're not going to be that, playoff contending team now. Houston's probably the worst team and the worst roster in the league. Like I said, the Colts are always going to be a very solid and competitive team, but I think that there's a lot of questions with the injuries and the offensive side of the ball. So right now I do see the Titans as the favorite, and with only the Colts as really a real threat, I think the Titans are in a great spot to obviously compete for the division title and look to win it again.
Nate, as the other fan of someone in the AFC South, we'll go to you next. How are you feeling about Tennessee this year?
Sure. I think they've made some good pickups. Obviously,
Try to be
Jones
unbiased too.
Jones is a star, but he burnt me in fantasy last year, so I'm quite happy he's in Tennessee and he's going to repeat that. Come on. I think they've taken a bit of a sidestep from mediocrity to kind of maybe a little bit more mediocrity in defense. So that might be wishful thinking. But the pickup of Danico Autry, obviously I'm very familiar. 9 sacks last year, which was tied 12th for his position. It's a good acquisition, but I wasn't overly bothered to see him go until he went to the Titans. So I think they're very much placed to be the same as they were last year. My biggest question is that I sort of think that maybe Tannehill might suffer a little bit from Arthur Smith leaving, because in my lack of knowledge about the Titans, I put Tannehill, the resurrection of Ryan Tannehill, down to Arthur Smith and his schemes and everything. So it could be a bit of a wobble from Ryan.
A bit of a wobble.
Again,
that's why we have Nate on. A bit of a wobble. Analysis we would never say ourselves. Tommy, Hawaiian vibe. How are you feeling about Tennessee this year?
Yo, I get down with the Titans. I definitely vibe with them a lot because they're one of the teams where you look at the statistics and you're like, there's no way they could be that efficient. There's no way they could keep beating. Like, they're going to regress, and they don't. And then you see Ryan Tannehill's numbers, his play action, and just all the chunk plays they get, and you're like, yeah, that's not sustainable. But they sustain it. And after, 2 seasons watching them do something like this, it's kind of unbelievable to see them continue to do what they do. And for all those reasons, I guess in Shark Tank, I am in. I am indeed not out, and I definitely would smash the over as well. I just think, their secondary has definitely took a hit, but their defense is pretty trash last year. And so my thought is, they're bad, and I guess they got worse, but that's not going down much further than they already were. But now they add Julio Jones, who's one of the greatest wide receivers ever. So now I'm thinking, all right, well, hopefully their defense will somehow improve because it's hard to see it get worse. But I'm just really excited to see what this offense does now, because I feel like that it's when you go to Madden and you're trying to put a team together and you're like, okay, let's get this awesome running back here who get billion carries. Let's have a pretty efficient quarterback here and let's just load it up with wide receivers. And you're just like, oh, cool. Yeah, I just made the Titans. This is fun. So for all those reasons, at least fantasy wise, I'm very interested.
Will, how are you feeling about the Titans in 2021?
See, listen, from Tommy's criticisms of me last week, I'm going to start off with saying a thing that I'm excited about for every team. And for the Titans, I'm excited about being proven right that Julio Jones is just going to be a fancy distraction for A.J. Brown.
Absolutely.
So
that was
that's
the most
one.
backhanded compliment for Tom.
Oh, there's more.
I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be excited. This guy's going to suck, so it makes the other guy better.
I didn't say that. I just said he's going to be a fancy distraction for A.J. Brown season. I will say that's more of a compliment to A.J. Brown than it is a detriment to Julio.
You see how he struggles with those nice things? It's it doesn't come out naturally.
It's the hardest to see in work. Fish for a compliment.
All that aside, legit, right? I mean, everybody should be excited to watch the Titans offense with the monster that is Derrick Henry. Hopefully Ryan Tannehill, stays performing at the level that he has. We'll see if Nate's concern is correct about the offense this year with him. But I think he should probably be fine. Losing Johnny Smith, we'll see. I think the biggest question mark for the Titans is their change out of their cornerbacks in the defense, like Tommy talked about, right? Like Adoree Jackson and Malcolm Butler gone. They've got who's the second round pick, Fulton. They've got trying to get him to step up, and then getting an aging Jackrabbit who's more kind of like I don't know what you would call the animal that is kind of slow and old at this point, but still performs pretty well, right? Is my boy. He's from Florida. He was great, but old, right? So, I mean, I just think that's the question. I have no doubt that Titans are going to be able to put up points, but in those games, where they play the high-powered, high offenses, right, is the pass rush going to be able to get there, and are they going to be able to be stout on defense remains to be seen. But as we just talked about with the division, not sure there's a lot that stands in their way. So I think it'll be, I am with Tyler 100% on the smash and the over on the win column there for a lot of reasons. But I mean, I think the Titans fans, this is the season of maybe.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I cannot give you any guarantees that the Titans' defense will be any better, but all I can tell you is it's going to be different. And a sign of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting it to be different. The Titans didn't do that on defense at minimum. They took a lot of their money and took it out of the secondary, cutting Malcolm Butler, Adoree Jackson, Kenny Vaccaro, and they moved that money to the pass rush up front with Danico Autry, Bud Dupree. They put youth in the secondary with Elijah Molden, Caleb Farley in the draft this year, and then, of course, bringing back Christian Fulton, who's going to be a second-year player. So a lot of youth in the secondary, putting that big-time money from the secondary to the pass rush, and the Titans did elevate Shane Bowen. Now, Brian, I'm not trying to call you out here, but you said that Shane Bowen's replacing Dean Pease. Dean Pease actually wasn't with the Titans last year.
That's right,
but
he retired.
You're not entirely wrong, because they never actually replaced him with an official defensive coordinator. It was sort of like Mike Vrabel puppeteering everything. And if we know anything about Mike Vrabel in the NFL, he is garbage at running a defense. I think he's an excellent head coach as a CEO who can kind of manage team, manage roster, manage personality, manage situation, time, clock, down, distance, all that stuff. He's excellent. Working with the players, hand on, he's great. But he is terrible at coordinating a defense, whether it be his time as DC in Houston or last year running the Titans defense. So giving that defensive coordinator title officially over to Shane Bowen and allowing him to actually coordinate the defense, not just be his little, ventriloquist doll out there on defense for Vrabel, actually doing that with reallocating the resources to the front, putting the youth in the back end, and then actually having a DC. As you can tell, I'm ready to be hurt again. I am optimistic about the Titans defense.
Yeah, I think that there's a small question mark around the departure of Arthur Smith, but for the most part, I think short of a lot of injuries, this offense is going to be one of the top in the AFC, maybe top 5 NFL. And it all comes down to the defense, the secondary in particular. If they can get a pass rush that they spent the money on, Tyler, that you mentioned, it might not matter as much. That'll give the young cornerbacks a little bit more time to develop. They don't have to be these lockdown corners from the start. If they develop over the course of the season, this defense could end up getting better, and then they could be, we might be talking about AFC contenders for the entire conference. Either way, I think no doubt, unless barring something completely unforeseen, they're a playoff team. Hang tight to the end to see if I actually picked them to win the division. But let's go ahead and move on to the Indianapolis Colts, who also made the playoffs last year but finished second in the division. If I'm not mistaken, they were tied, but the Titans won the tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker!
So the Colts, hey, whatever. It still counts, right? There's only one division winner, and the Colts were not it. So key additions. The biggest addition here, obviously, quarterback Carson Wentz reuniting with Frank Reich. Offensive tackle Eric Fisher is not ready to play yet, but that could be a big addition, who replacing a key loss when Anthony Costanzo retired, quarterback Phillip Rivers retired, Danico Autry, as we mentioned, who is now with Tennessee, quarterback Jacoby Brissett, which backup quarterback might not normally be a key addition, but we saw, yes, Wentz is practicing, is looking good, but if he's injury prone, up and down if Eason or Erlinger can be the answer. So losing a steady quarterback like Brissett could actually end up hurting them. And safety Malik Hooker. Key 2021 draft picks, defensive end Kwity Paye, who seems to be having himself a pretty good preseason so far, and defensive end Dayo Adeyingbo. pretty sure I nailed that. Coaching changes, none. This is the most steady team in the division. Bringing back the whole coaching staff didn't make a whole lot of changes on a roster that was already pretty good. Nate, obviously we'll start with you on this. Vegas also has them at 9 wins. Give us your completely biased take on the Indianapolis Colts this year.
So I've got to correct you on the coaching changes. Nick Sirianni's gone to the Eagles.
Right. Well, but Frank Reich was calling the plays, so I didn't go.
Yeah,
Nick Sirianni is. I don't take him that seriously. Like Sirianni is not going to. I don't think move the needle one way or the other.
Neither do Eagles.
I wish he had been calling some plays towards the end of the season, particularly in Pittsburgh and then against the Bills. I'm really nervous and excited about the upcoming season. I do fear a little bit that we're still in a bit of a quarterback merry-go-round. Ever since the end of the Luck era, I didn't want Wentz. I wanted Stafford. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
But Wentz knows the right offense. It's one that he works in. We know he works in. Whether the Eagles did irreparable damage to him, we don't know. But some of the film coming out of camp looks really, really good from him. Obviously, he's in a far better situation in Indy than he was in Philly. He's got a top 2 offensive line rather than a bottom 10 offensive line. He's got a much better running back room, and he's got some young good targets. One person you didn't mention from the draft who's having an unbelievable training camp is Mike Strachan. 7th round.
I drafted him in my dynasty league. I got him in like the 15th round. I'm excited about Strachan.
I didn't, but I'm keeping a close eye on him because there are a couple of people in my taxi squad that will probably be cut pre-week 1. Nice. But anyway, he's Mike Strachan looks interesting, but I'm excited about also we've got the return of Paris Campbell, who has played about 6 games in 2 years because he
collectively
likes being injured constantly. If he can reach even a part of his supposed potential, he could be a real danger man. So that there's a lot of potential in the wideout room in Indy, but there's not a lot of. We don't know. We just don't know. Tight end is a big question mark as well because I don't really rate Mo Cox.
Don't you disrespect Jack Doyle? How dare you?
Oh, I like Jack Doyle. He's a great player. Kinda. Yeah.
But he has like an English name, like Jack Doyle. Sounds like it could be from the UK. Will, what's your question?
Let me ask you this question. No, this is relevant. What do you think? And we might have mentioned this last time we were on the show, but remind me, what happened to the Colts defense the second half of last year? Because they were lights out, and then they just kind of like 180.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, penalty flags and yards were a big problem to the tail end of last year. I mean, sorry, let me rephrase that. Referees were a big problem for the Colts tail end of
Not the Colts'
year,
problem, refs' problem.
Particularly in the Steelers game. But no, you're right. Things went off. We weren't closing things down the same way in the second half of the season. There were a few standouts. Obviously, Buckner, Leonard. They. Kenny Moore, they all had great seasons all the way through. Rhodes, but some of the younger guys, or some of the guys that aren't really headline acts, say the likes of Rock Ya-Sin, tons of penalty yards against him, just tons, and the Colts went in at half time down against the Bills because of a stupid foul.
That was a bad call.
Yeah, and then TJ.
So when we first were introducing the Colts, you had your thumbs down. Can you elaborate on your thumbs down?
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? I mean, you got Quentin Nelson, who's kind of a little banged up. Signs are good.
He was back at practice today with Wentz. They were both practicing.
I get it.
Yeah.
You got Wentz,
and
right? A little
Brian
banged up. Yep. But check this out, right? So here's the schedule, and let's see if you guys agree with me. Week 1, Seahawks, L. Week 2, Los Angeles Rams, L.
Yeah.
Week 3, Titans, L.
No.
Week 4, Miami Dolphins, probably L. Week 5, Ravens, L. Week 6, Texans, that's a win. Yeah. Niners, L. Titans, L. So, like, it doesn't get easy until, like, week 9 for the Colts. And,
it's a very tough start.
Yeah, it's a really horrible beginning to the year. And if we are relying
you could go 1-8. Like,
if we're relying on Eason and Ellinger, whoever, then it could be grim reading come half the half.
Here's the thing too, like it doesn't get better. Like Jets, Jaguars, okay, there's 2 games. Bills, L. Bucks, L. Texans again, there's a win. Patriots, coin toss. Cardinals, L. Raiders win. So I maybe 5-6 wins.
Wait. What are you talking about? Half of those teams. If Wentz is on fire, half of those teams need to turn into dub.
I mean, he's like on fire, like as in being a ginger, like his hair.
Tommy's triggered.
No. If you look, he's put in the last time he was in a Reich offense, he put up MVP numbers until he got injured.
Sure.
We don't know that's going to happen, but we don't know that he's going to suck either, right? We just don't know.
100%. It's just
so let's, in the spirit of moving things on.
Let me summarize, and then we can move things on. So, just in summary, all I'm saying is a lot of it depends on Nelson and Wentz being healthy, and it's a really rough start to the year, and who knows what that could do to morale as injuries go on for the second half of the year. So, the defense on paper, like the running back room is, I think, one of the most solid 4 running back tandems, if you want to call it that, in the NFL.
Very.
Right? Just a lot of talent everywhere. So I think it just hinges on them, and it's a rough schedule, and that's what I base my opinion on. And now you can move on.
Tommy, why were you cracking up like it was the funniest thing you'd ever heard? Enlighten us. What's your take on the Colts?
The bad man can't hurt me anymore as long as this guy plays 75% of the gosh darn season. So
I was gonna say you need Wentz.
I need Carson Wentz to ball out for you. So Nate, I have nothing against Carson Wentz. I love him. I went to his softball charity event every summer, saw him play. He gave back. I love the guy. But all I'm saying is when a Philadelphia fan actively roots for Carson Wentz, I have statistical facts to back me up that bad things happen. So right now, Philly fans are cheering on Wentz. So unfortunately for you and the whole city of Indianapolis, bad things are going to happen, unfortunately. But no, I love the Colts. There's no reason to hate them or anything like that. And so I'm going to be the jerk right now, even though Will kind of went in by, reading off the schedule saying loss. But I guess my only way to pile on is, I really like them. I really hope Quentin Nelson comes back healthy and everything. And their defense is a lot of fun to watch. But for me personally, I don't know. And please yell at me. I need to be yelled at for what I'm about to say. But the Colts are just like a boring team. Like, when I see him, when I see a Colts versus something game, I'm like, the Browns are all right, cool, yeah, I'll watch them.
I will say this. Hang on, I will say this.
That is said by a person who clearly hasn't watched enough Colts football.
That's fair. That's fair.
Nate tweeted, hang on, I'm going to come to Nate's defense. He tweeted out, there was a thing that said, pick your all fantasy team from everybody that's good for your team, and his Colts list. I thought about it for a long time. I'm not sure there was a better one, dude, in the history of
that's historically.
Football. Oh yeah, no,
Tommy's
dude. When Andrew Luck's playing for the Colts
team,
or Peyton Manning is, I am tuned in. I'm just saying, last year at least, Phillip Rivers is great, and they had a lot of fun, close shootouts and stuff. But when I actively look for a team to watch, and I see the Colts, and this is a me thing. I know I'm wrong, so that's why I said please yell at me, which you guys are doing. So thank you.
Don't know.
It's the Eagles for me.
Oh, no, that's fair, too. I watched them, too. It's a dumpster fire. I agree.
No, Philly is fun to watch from, want to see how bad the train wreck is type of thing.
They get to look through the window, and they get to go home later and be like, oh, dude, thank God we're not that.
Yeah. So, but Tommy, I'm actually going to agree with you on the Colts boredom factor. So here's my take on the Colts. I do think they're the most balanced team in the division.
Very good team.
They had the defense is much more solid than Tennessee. Their ceiling is not as high as the Titans, but they're just more even keel. Obviously, we have no doubts about their coaching ability with Nate's own personal takes, Frank Reich aside. But they're not a flashy team, and maybe that's fine. That's their identity.
No, they're a good
but
team.
They're not that exciting. But they're solid. Once again, I'll give my prediction at the end, but I do believe both the Colts and the Titans make the playoffs. So let's go ahead and move
questions.
on.
I have
yeah,
questions.
please.
I just want to say this, just
You
real
didn't raise your
fast,
hand.
as an observer. I didn't. You know what? I didn't do that in school either. And if you ask my
That's right.
parents,
Nobody
they would tell
raises
you
their
that was the
hands
number
here.
one complaint.
Tyler, go ahead.
Shocker. The guy who does a 30-minute podcast by himself every day likes to talk. But I just want to say, if there's any question that I have three when you look at the Colts roster, and there will be the three downfalls. One, pass catcher. Everybody, I mean, you're talking about a 7th-round rookie and Mike Strachan being something that's going to help. You just cannot count on a 7th-round rookie to be anything in a season. So you look at the guys that are expected to do something. T.Y. Hilton, there are some reports that he could have been cut in camp, and I don't think that's going to happen. But, I mean, he's close to about done. Michael Pittman Jr., everybody's high on him, but can we see it with a new quarterback? Zach Pascal, he's been a journeyman. Paris Campbell has good upside, but he has problems staying healthy. And then the biggest question for me, and, you know, with a little bit of UK flair, the engine of the Colts team is their offensive line. So let's pop the bonnet, mate, and see that there are problems at left tackle.
I was waiting for this.
What are you going to do,
life.
Sam Tevy? Will Holden? Oh, man, I love British content. I've been waiting to use pop the bonnet my whole life. I'm in here. Bucket list check.
Is that a thing?
We don't say that.
Hey, man.
Don't ruin his dreams.
You're just trying to ruin my happiness, Nate. I'm not going to let you do it.
You won't. We won't let you take this moment
way,
from Tyler.
Yes, you will not take it from me until Eric Fisher comes back from his torn Achilles. And especially, we talked about the early season schedule for the Colts and how tough it is. I mean, if you don't have your left tackle, all the reports out of Colts camp is that the left tackle position is just a struggle. So the offensive line is compromised. I'm not super high on the pass catching group that they have in Indianapolis. And on the defensive line, I know that they have a good defensive line, but Tyquan Lewis, Kwity Paye, I mean, you're counting a lot on guys who haven't proven anything in the NFL yet outside of DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, and Kamiko Toure. So I think there are questions on the D-line, there are questions on the offensive line, and there are questions at pass catcher for the Colts. And I think if those three areas go well, the Colts will win the division. But if they don't, then the Colts will just be another boring, middling team that doesn't really have a high-end ceiling like we already discussed. So those are the little darts I want to throw, but the Colts are going to be a really good team because they have a good foundation. It's just about that ceiling, and those three areas of concern I think will determine the ceiling for the Colts going forward.
Yeah.
Tyler, was it correct to say that you just...
I want to note, first of all, that Will
wait,
actually did have his hand raised.
Is it fair to say that you just called T.Y. Hilton basically a Wish.com Tyreek Hill?
Well, I don't know that he was ever up there with Tyreek Hill, but I get the speech. Let's just say I think the nickname Ghost is more appropriate than people realize because T.Y. Hilton's Ghost is out there on the field.
I think this is a discussion. Like, is T.Y. Hilton like not a thing anymore? Like, I still think of him as pretty good.
His name is T.Y. Houston. Because when he plays the Texans, he explodes. But any other game, he's just washed.
He only has he can only really perform in NRG, right? Like, but no, he for the last couple of years, I mean, he didn't perform for like an entire year, right? It was like the week 9, 10 in 2019 where he just disappeared, and it was injuries. Okay. You know, it was injuries. He was playing hurt. He was doing a Julio last season where he was playing hurt and he wasn't really performing.
Well, they're old. They're both old. That's the key here. They're both old.
And then last season, he didn't. I think he dropped every ball thrown to him for the first 11 weeks until he played the Texans, and then actually I think his first touchdown may have been against the Titans, but he didn't perform until the latter half of the season. Tyler, you've got lots of very good points there, and if I'm wearing my Colts hat, I've just got to say shut up. But if I'm wearing my football fan hat, everything you said is completely right. Obviously, Eric Fisher is a big part to bring in. You know, the Achilles is a bitch to come back from, but it's not so bad for someone who doesn't have to be so explosive. You know, running back, Marlon Mack, that could be the end of his career. It could signal the end of his career at least, but we don't know. Eric Fisher, less of a problem. Obviously, Quentin Nelson in next to him, not a problem. Quentin Nelson should be back week 1 or 2. He's coming back. He's going to be strong. He's going to be the same Quentin Nelson. And I almost want to say it doesn't matter who you have next to him because he can do both positions at once. Because last season on several, you make that.
He's reverse
you don't
Aaron
need a left
Donald.
tackle. Just Quentin Nelson.
You make that face.
Whole left side.
Last tackle.
He's my favorite lineman in the NFL, Nate. Can we establish that?
He does love Quentin Nelson.
I do love him.
Several occasions last season, he would put in a block at left guard and then put in a block at right tackle because he's that good.
Let's keep it moving.
Very quickly, sorry. The wideouts, absolutely. Really low floor, really high ceiling for me. Obviously, you can't rely on a seventh round wide receiver. If he goes off, great. If he doesn't, we didn't really expect him to. T.Y. Hilton is a problem. I don't think you're going to see him getting targeted half as much as he did last year. I think Pitt is going to go off, and here's my bold prediction: he's going to have more touchdowns than Julio next season.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's keep on moving now. The next team, we don't have to spend a lot of time on the Texans. I'm basically going to let me go through a few of the things. First of all, they signed everybody. They said 33 total free agent signings.
All just one-year deals too. All of them
all
one-year deals. They don't want any of these guys.
Yeah, this is a complete SHIT show. I think David Culley, even though technically he signed a 4-year deal, he might be on a 1-year deal.
He's a sacrificial lamb, man.
Didn't they just smoke somebody 35-0 in the preseason?
That's the preseason, man. That doesn't mean anything. No, it
literally
does to
the
means
Ravens.
Nothing. Okay, but they've won 19, 20 straight 21 preseason games.
The the Texans are not the Ravens. Do not do that, Will.
Yeah,
don't.
Okay. All right, so a couple of obviously Tyrod Taylor's looking like he's going to start a quarterback. Desmond King, defensive tackle Malik Collins, Shaq Lawson, Phillip Lindsay. Looks like he'll be the starting running back in Houston. They also got rid of 18 total players, including wide receiver Will Fuller, edge J.J. Watt in Arizona, Duke Johnson. Duke Johnson's still a free agent. When did Duke Johnson get so bad that no team would sign him? Thought that was weird. Right. Tight end Darren Fells, and their first draft pick in the 3rd round, quarterback Davis Mills, and wide receiver Nico Collins, who is getting a little bit of hype. Wide receiver out of Michigan so far in the preseason. And as we mentioned, head coach David Culley replaces Bill O'Brien, who, yes, didn't finish the season, got fired, I believe, after week 4. Vegas has their win total at 4. Here's my question. We don't have to go analyze all of this. Is anybody here picking the over on 4 wins for Houston? I'll throw it to
see what the schedule looks like. Houston, 2021.
You're actually going to look it up.
They will be the first NFL team in history to go 0-17.
No way.
One of the episodes. First, I will note this. The Texans are the only team. When we did our deep dive, Tyler was here for our Titans deep dive. Nate came on for our Colts deep dive. They're the only team we couldn't find somebody to come on and do. We had to do them ourselves.
Who wants to talk about them?
Nobody. I don't blame them. I don't blame them, but we had to, as a podcast, just the hosts, we might even have brought Anthony in for that. We had to break down the Texans. So 4 wins, I think will.
Episode.
I know, right?
I think that's actually pretty spot on. Actually, looking at the schedule, you got Jacksonville twice, you got Cleveland in there, Carolina.
You say Cleveland like they're beatable, but the Texans are going to beat the Browns.
No, they're not.
No,
that's what I'm saying. There's only a few winnable games.
Let's talk about the winnable ones. Okay, let's say they split with Jacksonville. Okay, fine. Maybe we'll give them a win.
They could beat the Jets.
Theoretically, they could beat. Do they play the Jets?
Yeah, they do play the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
play
I guess
the Jets. They play the Colts, and they Carolina. Maybe is a toss-up.
Carolina,
Jacksonville.
They could beat Jacksonville once.
Any given Sunday, boys. Any given Sunday.
Everything else is an L.
Here's the real question.
If CMC is alive, they won't lose. They won't beat Carolina. If CMC is living,
his feet has a pulse on Sunday. They ain't winning.
How many games do they win? You know what I mean? If Deshaun Watson actually were to play, how many games do we think they win? That's the only interesting question.
I think Tyrod Taylor would commit suicide if Deshaun Watson actually plays. It'd be his third strike. Can the guy get a break? And here's the thing, though, and I'll just throw this out, right? If you look at their offense, right, and Texans 21 depth chart, right? Just hear me out. Imagine Tyrod that's actually pretty good, and he has been until he's been hurt or replaced by rookies, right? The backfield's decent. You've got Cooks
decent.
And
You can look at the roster. They have a lot of names. They have a lot of veteran names.
Right. So here's my point. Here's my point.
Okay.
Are people just going to completely look past the Texans in their schedule and get surprised here and there?
No.
That's my only question.
I think they could win 2 or 3 games just because of that. You know what I mean? Like, the reason the NFL is so great is because teams go from first to worst and worst to first, and the teams you think are good, and any given Sunday, like Tommy was just saying, I mean, that's why the NFL is good. So that's why I just will never predict a team to lose every game, because just nonsense happens, man. That's just the way football is.
Especially with 17 games.
Ball. Yes, exactly. More opportunities for craziness.
I'm quite happy to come in and predict a complete perfect losing record. You know, from my version of football, no one goes from worst to first. It doesn't happen. We don't have the draft. You know, if you're worst, see you later. You can go down and play with the
what about Leicester?
By the way,
I know I'm saying it wrong, but didn't they win in a crazy Leicester?
Oh, yeah. that is the only time that's happened in 78 years. Like,
wait, hang on. Isn't that a thing in soccer?
I'm not telling you there's a chance.
If you're the worst
team
in the league,
ruining my bonnet.
If you're in the worst team in the league in soccer, you go down to like the minor league, right?
Relegation.
I mean, so it's relegation. So like,
I know about that from Ted Lasso.
Just very quick. Just very, very quickly. Premier League, the Championship, League One, and then League Two. They're the 4 professional leagues in England. Everything below that is either semi-pro, amateur. But I mean, you could if your team goes to real toss, it could go from the top, and you could just go down and 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 down like every year until you're no longer a professional football team. And you've got to start hiring guys that actually have day jobs. To play football for you. And
if the Texans go 0-17, we need to send them down to college football and bring up Bama.
Relegate them. Just replace them with a rugby team. They won't notice.
Send them to the CFL.
That thing is a thing every year. Like, could Alabama beat the worst team in the NFL? And everyone's like, no.
This year, maybe.
No, but here's the thing. Maybe. How would we ever know? And would it really be that risky to try this out? Like, instead of the Pro Bowl, can we do that? Can we have Alabama play like the Lions?
I'm here for that, but my only thing is, like, the top 10 to 12 players on Alabama actually go to the NFL. Everybody in the NFL is an NFL player, so I am firmly in the camp of college team beating pro team is nonsense.
But Nick Saban versus David
this
Culley.
Year of all years.
No, hold on. I'm just
this year of all years
thought,
with the Texans, it's,
I'm just laughing at the thought of being like a 20-year-old college football player, and I'm like a senior, so I'm like a starting center. I'm like, oh yeah, this is dope. And then they're like, yo, so there's gonna be like James Harrison across from you this next game, so have fun picking up. I'll be like, yo, that's like a grown man, dude. What are you talking about?
Right.
They literally die.
Like Calais Campbell standing next to me, and be like, bro, you gotta chill.
Did you hear that? That was in that preseason game where, like, I forget which dude it was, but they were like, what surprised you about the other team? And he goes, have you seen Jason Pierre-Paul? Like, that guy's a massive human.
Have you seen him, like, with your eyeballs?
So, with the last to first talk, the reason I don't think that's going to apply here in any way, shape, or form is because that organization is a mess. It's not like the organization's strong and they just lost talent and all of that. It's not like the Colts who lost luck to a sudden retirement. Nothing. No, this is just top to bottom from Jack Easterby down to.
Can we just move on and talk about Trevor Lawrence versus Gardner?
That was what I was going to say.
Easterby. That I call him Jafar
I like it.
Easterby because he's got the snake stick in front of Cal McNair. You will do what I say. You will hire David Culley.
Cal McNair is the Sultan in this scenario. I like it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I call him Jafar Easterby. But with that terrible joke, I will let you guys go. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, life moves forward. But thank you guys so much for having me on.
Quick, before we lose you, Tyler, give us your division standings.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I say that the Titans go 12-5. I had them at 10-7, but with the addition of Julio Jones, I'll go 12-5. I think the Colts end up 9-8. I think that the Texans or the Jaguars end up 6-11. I'm a little higher on the Jags, I think, than most people are, and I think the Texans ultimately go 2-15. So that's how I see the division shaking out. I do think the Colts get the final wild card spot and do make the playoffs at 9-8, but I don't think they beat the Titans out for the division.
Tyler Rowland from Locked On Titans. Thanks for joining. You know we'll have you again. Appreciate you as always, man. Take care.
Thank you all.
Dude, the Titans sound effect is so good.
It's because their defense is so trash. Like you got
That is true. Derrick
Anthony,
Henry's
I'm
also
fine.
really
I
overrated.
can only say that now he's gone.
Derrick Henry's overrated. Sorry.
I'm fine with you having no sound drop for the Texans, but what do we have for the Jaguars?
Dude, the Texans need to be like a yeehaw thing, or like the no, the good, the bad, and the ugly, like the little thing. That's no.
The chicken.
What? Yeah,
The chicken.
yeah,
Okay.
That works.
Yeah, the cluck. Yeah, that works.
I mean,
all right,
can we all agree that God is going to smite Urban Meyer for what he just did?
by cutting Tim Tebow?
Yeah.
Nice.
Like the
No, no,
Texans
Did you see
are a
him with
cursed
your
franchise.
eyes?
Well, I didn't know.
Football?
He's going to
I didn't know
reward
if it
him
was-
with 5 wins.
Well, there's two things you could smite him for. One, cutting Tim Tebow, and two, actually saying Gardner Minshew has a chance to beat out Trevor Lawrence. So could go either way.
What a joke.
I mean,
Let's move.
We should
Let's
talk
move
about
to the
that.
Jack. Yeah, we will. It's in the news. Actually, you don't look at the script, but guess what? We're
I
actually
do
covering
look
it
at the
later.
script.
Okay, well then you would know what we're talking about. All right. The final team in the division, Jacksonville Jaguars, key additions, wide receiver Marvin Jones, cornerback Shaquille Griffin out of Seattle, safety Rayshon Jenkins, and defensive line Malcolm Brown, formerly with the Saints. Key departures, wide receiver Chris Conley, tight end Tyler Eifert, cornerback Rashawn Melvin, and wide receiver Keelan Cole, who's now with the Jets. Key 2021 draft picks, of course. This is where it all comes down to tons of youth, lots of high-end picks. Quarterback Trevor Lawrence, the number 1 overall pick. Running back Travis Etienne, their second first-round pick. Both of those players out of Clemson. Cornerback Tyson Campbell out of Georgia. Offensive tackle Walker Little out of Stanford. And safety Andre Cisco. Coaching changes. We've got Urban Meyer, who we've mentioned multiple times, replacing Doug Marrone. Offensive coordinator is Darrell Bevel, most recently with the Detroit Lions. And defensive coordinator Joe Cullen, who replaces Todd Wash. Vegas has the Jags win total at 6.5. Tommy, I want to start with you on this. What's your outlook about this very young but interesting Jaguars team?
It definitely just comes down to your thoughts of the Urban Meyer experiment right now, right? It's obviously too early to tell, but I know a lot of college football fans either love or hate Urban Meyer. And so I am not going to try to sit here and say who's right, who's wrong, but all I'll say is Urban Meyer has had success with pretty much every college football team and organization he's touched. So I'm really excited to see how that transitions over to the NFL because it does not always translate. For those of you who remember, Nick Saban, the greatest college football coach, arguably, maybe not even arguably anymore, of all times, had a stint in the NFL, I believe. Was he the coach for your team, Brian, or am I not remembering that correctly?
I cannot recall such a time as you.
It's so bad. Even our great friend Brian is our president, and that's not to say Saban is a good. Obviously, he has shown us that he's an amazing coach. So that's kind of what I'm more excited to see. But to finally kind of answer your question, they are a very young team. Its squad is filled with really exciting players. Like whether you like Etienne, James. I was a huge James Robinson fan last year. Obviously, what happened with Etienne, we'll see what goes on. But like even with Laviska Shenault, I mean that. Oh my God, when he has the ball in his hand, that man is a man. He's a dog. He just runs like a running back, so he's fun to watch. And of course, we have...
Here's our analysis. That man is a man.
That man is a man. Put that on his shirt. That man is a man. But yeah, all I'm going to say is I'm really excited to see how this team goes. But one thing that Will actually mentioned before has resonated with me ever since he mentioned it. But like Trevor Lawrence is like the most least hyped quarterback like ever. Like, I'm not saying first overall pick is elite. I'm just saying in general. Like, we're seeing Zach, what's his name? Yeah, Zach's being hyped up, Lance being hyped up. We're seeing all these.
He's not that hyped if you can't remember his name.
Yeah, dude.
If you
Right
can't remember
now,
Wilson's
I'm still in
last name,
Hawaii
yeah.
mode, friend. So I'm trying my best to spout all these names. But all I'm saying is every rookie
It's
quarterback
all right.
I've heard
Zach
of.
Wilson is underage, so it's you don't
Dude,
have
I feel
to
uncomfortable saying his full name. I feel like that'd be like
Exactly.
pedophile on this, spectrum. But long story short, I'm really like confused on why no one's talking about Lawrence. I'm trying to watch the game right now and try to do this as well. I'm watching him and I'm like, oh yeah, he looks solid. But like everyone's like, oh, did you see Lance? Did you see Fields? Did you see all these other quarterbacks? Oh, how about Lawrence? Oh yeah, well yeah, he's good. So yeah. But did you see these other quarterbacks? And ever since Will mentioned it, I was like, yeah, dude, no one puts any respect on his name. So I'm excited to see how it shakes up. But I'm similar to what Tyler said before he left. I think I'm a little bit higher on the Jaguars than the consensus, but I'm really excited to see how it kind of shakes up.
Yeah, I mean,
Will.
it's kind of... Sorry, go on.
No,
Yeah,
let Nate
I was
go.
going to finish with Nate, but let's hear from Will.
Sorry, eager to jump in. Yeah, no, it's fair to be up on them, obviously, with the Urban Meyer thing going on. I would say that Vegas you want to go. I think you want to go under. I don't see 6. I don't see 6 wins. But that's because they're only just getting a blueprint, right? They're only just starting to add real quality. I mean, yeah, it's if you look at the roster in general, still sucks down there. Like they've got some good players, but it sucks, man. They're gonna really struggle. Like, and I think the reason you're not hearing as much about Trevor Lawrence is just like everyone knows he's good, right? Like we know Zach Wilson's pretty good, but is he gonna be an NFL star? Who knows? Trey Lance is playing pretty well pre-season. They're throwing some bombs. That's exciting. At one point, Mac Jones was going at 3 or 4, wasn't he? So Lance going there, it's kind of exciting. Fields obviously fell down. Apparently isn't the starter because they're going to start Andy Dalton. Like, what? Really?
Yeah, we'll talk about
Why
that
would
in
you
the news
start
too.
that dinosaur. Like, what the hell? Like, but so that's why I think that's why we're hearing more about Trevor Lawrence. We're just like, yeah, we know he's good. Move on. Talk about something else.
Will, how do you feel about the Jags with your boy Urban? Who you want to tell the story for the 4th time about how you were in your car and Urban Meyer walked by and you said something to him?
Not really.
Okay,
No.
carry on.
But I will say that I mean, I want Urban Meyer to do well in Jacksonville, right? Like I want the Jags to be good. I don't understand a lot of their draft picks. I think the Travis Etienne pick was horrible. I think I was really high on James Robinson. I don't know why they went up and did that when their defense looks like it does, right? And then you got this QB controversy. Like Urban, come on, bro. Like I know he always did this at Florida, and he's a very like competition driven dude, right? And like if you're winners and you're losers, right? He had like the Champions Club at Florida, and like okay, but it's Trevor Lawrence, and he was the number 1 overall pick. Like, can we just agree that it's not going to be Gardner Minshew? I think Marvin Jones probably a little underrated. I think he'll probably do better than what most people think.
Lawrence
really
has had
got
a pretty
3
good
pass
rapport
catchers
with him in the preseason so far.
Yeah,
Marvin
I think
Jones.
he's going to do pretty well. I mean, Laviska
Chenault.
He's he's just like taking a fat snort of hopium, right? Like every game, you're just like, please come through for me in fantasy, and he just never does. So,
Well,
like,
it was his rookie season. This year could be different.
That man's a man.
He is a man.
We'll see.
As Tommy
We'll
has
see.
established.
Just the hopium, bro. Like we'll see, but so there's that, right? And then tight end is a mess. I mean, considering that they just hired and fired Tim Tebow, who looked just goofily out of place in the preseason. Can we agree? Like,
yeah, those blocks.
I think
played,
when people saw him on the national stage, they were like, Herb. Come on, bro. Like, so.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of
know.
complaints. None of those people on Twitter were like, why would you cut him? Everybody's like, no, I can see it.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
After those
South.
horrible block attempts.
They just wheel Tebow out as their mascot, just bring him out to wave at the crowd and then bin him again.
Big questions on defense too. I don't know, man. I this is not going to be the year. I think we can all agree there, but I don't know. I mean, they're going to surprise some people too. I think catch some people sleeping. I hope Trevor doesn't. I hope this isn't like a death knell for his career. As bad as that sounds. So we'll see. I mean, if anything, it could be the Jaguars positioning Gardner Minshew for a trade, right? Make him look good.
Well,
trade him
like
to
I
the
said,
Colts,
I want to talk about that
let him go win a
specifically.
Super Bowl.
I want to talk about that specifically, that whole quarterback thing, and once we get to the news section.
Yeah, but this is a good time to talk about it. So we should be agile and just talk about things as they come up naturally.
Or we'll follow the instructions in the script as I've written them.
No, we don't do that.
No, we really don't. We really don't. I want to piggyback on something Tommy said. you mentioned specifically Urban Meyer's lack of NFL experience coming from the college, and he specifically mentioned Nick Saban, who I tried to forget about, but thank you for that painful memory. But even Nick Saban had NFL experience he worked on the Giants and the Browns staff with Bill Belichick. Urban Meyer has never coached a single down at any level, at any coaching position in the NFL. It's not even like he was a coaching assistant and then went to the college level. No, he has been entirely a college coach, a very, very successful college coach, but he has never, this is all new to him. He's doing things differently. It could end up
He's not going to run the spread.
Or it could end up being a Cliff Kingsbury situation. So, but that being said, one of the reasons that Saban left is because he really wanted Drew Brees, and he couldn't get the doctors to clear them. Instead, they got Dante Culpepper. Once again, painful memories that I'm reliving as a Dolphins fan. But Urban Meyer has Trevor Lawrence, so that could be the difference. If Lawrence is good, the rest falls into place. I thought Etienne was a reach, but all reports out of camp is that he has been fantastic, especially out of the backfield, catching passes.
I would hope, since he plays running back.
Use him. No, but I mean as a pass catcher. It's just, wow, he's wound up. He's all feisty. See, Tommy, you came back. He's infused. Actually, I think Nate has as well triggered a little bit. But
I love Nate.
I think you know what? They're intriguing. Like, I'm interested to see some Jaguars games, mainly because we don't know what we're going to get. We don't know how Urban Meyer's offense and the way he runs the team is going to translate to the NFL. We don't know what we're going to get out of Trevor Lawrence, mainly because there hasn't been much hype. We know I've seen so many highlights of Trey Lance, Justin Fields. I've watched some of their preseason games, Mac Jones. I've seen like 4 throws from Trevor Lawrence because I'm just So there's a lot to know. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a ton of youth. I don't know that I'll take the over here. I think 5 to 6 wins is pretty realistic. It would still be an improvement over their season from last year. That's all they can hope for. So now let's go to predictions before we move on to the news. Nate, as our AFC South fan that is here, we'll let you start. Well, I guess Tyler started before he got off, but let's start top to bottom AFC South standings in 2021.
Okay, so it really hinges on 2017 Carson Wentz or 2019 Carson Wentz. But Titans to win, I think they more or less matched last year, 11-6. The Colts, I'm going to go 10-7. I think you're all dumb if you think we're going to be rubbish. We're going to win way more. We're going to win comfortably more games than we lose, but we are going to really struggle the first 5 weeks. I think
9.
I think we might hit. We could genuinely hit 1-4 through 5, but I'm hoping for 3-2, but 2-3 is probably where I'd fall. Obviously the Jaguars next, and I'm going to say 4 wins, maybe 5, but 4 wins, and then the Texans 1 win. I don't think they're really going to be 0 wins, just because
just statistically,
it's just ridiculous. Like, you have to be the Lions to do that, or the Browns. It's just not going to happen. So 1 win for the Texans, and that'll be Deshaun Watson coming in last weekend just to really annoy everyone. And
Week 18, just to win a game.
It's so, dude, like, I know we're not talking about that, but it is so crazy that no one is touching him.
No,
like, not
no one is in the media.
Physically,
it's not that surprising. Look,
I didn't say surprising.
Oh,
I just said crazy.
Even crazy. Like, just.
Do you mean touch as in like teams or media coverage?
Like, it's. I think it's different with Deshaun than it is with Kareem Hunt, with any of the other like people that have had incidents and got cut somewhere else, right?
Volume.
It's just. Even though he hasn't been, it's all this legal stuff and there's nothing been proven or convicted or whatever. It's just teams are just like, you signed Deshaun, you're instantly going to get crapped on by every fan ever in the entire world for
rightfully
taking on that reputation. I no
At
judgment.
Point,
I'm just saying,
so. Yeah.
you're gonna get crapped on. So like, you're gonna have to like sell that to your fan base somehow. And then there's the risk of, like, if he gets on the exempt list or whatever, or he goes to prison, which could happen, like, you're out like 2 to 3 first-round draft picks, and you're out all that capital. Players. So, yeah, and starting players. So it's like, I don't know what they do with him. It's a weird situation. I'm not sure I can remember the same.
I feel
kind
like
of
the answer to
situation
that
in the
is
NFL
simple
ever.
though, and I think you answered your own question. It's because with the Kareem Hunt incident, we know what happened. And there's footage of him kicking that woman and things like that and abuse. Whereas this situation, no one knows, and I feel like for a team to try to reach out, and make a trade, that's almost them. The way it comes off is, no, he's fine, he's innocent, so we will now trade for him. Kind of. So I feel like because of the ambiguity, like if we knew this was all like fake or whatever, then people would obviously react. Whereas if he was found guilty, we would obviously react. But I feel like it's just because we have no idea. I think that's why. But you're absolutely right. They released the NFL top 100, and Deshaun Watson made it to the list. I forget what number. He was like 23, 24, something like that. It was so awkward.
No one said
anything.
Nobody, no interviews.
There was like that
Which
like,
is also crazy because he should be higher than that.
But here's the thing, right? I think the only way from a PR perspective that this works, and I'm not condoning this, I'm just saying the only way it works is you trade for him and then you say we're going to let the law do its thing, and absolutely, like, we're going to hold him accountable if he's found guilty or whatever, and you come out with this hardline stance.
But I think there's going to be
even if you don't mean it.
Given up all those assets.
There'll be fans
You've
who
given up all
would
those
say
assets.
what you want, but you've already told us what stance you're in and hoping like, oh, even though it's blah, blah,
I get
blah.
it. I'm just saying, of all the bad ways to handle that, that's probably the only one that's actually even remotely feasible is to take that stance.
And it's
all
not
the other
even
ones
viable.
are worse.
Yeah, still not
It's
viable.
not even viable.
The best way to go is cut him and forget he ever existed. Like,
Right, and then somebody will sign him 100%.
Tommy, let's go to you. Let's get your division predictions now that we've
Colts.
done a little Deshaun Watson sidebar.
No worries. I'll make mine quick. I'll start with the Colts. Not saying that I think they're going to win, but just kind of the way that I have my notes down all weird. Do have the Colts down for 9 wins. So, hey, like you're right. Comfortably more wins than losses by at least 1 game. But then I have the Jacksonville Jaguars with 6 wins. Exactly. I have the Houston Texans at a staggering 3, and I don't know why I worked my way backwards, but then the Tennessee Titans, I have them with, they won 11 last year. I'm just going to give them 11 again. I want to give them the extra, 12 or 13, but I feel like it's a little ambitious with some of the question marks I see on that defense.
yeah.
Will, predictions for the AFC South 2021.
Dude, I don't like doing the wins thing, but
You don't have to do the record. I'm not going to do the record.
Don't you tell me how to live my life. So
I was
the
on your side for that one.
The Texans are
You
going to win
Screw
the
you.
division.
Give me records.
The Texans are going to win. I mean, not the Texans. Who's the other team? Titans. Titans are going to win
Who
the
are the
division.
other? This is our NFL
Calm down.
podcast. Will doesn't even know the teams in the AFC.
I'm going to
South.
go.
Okay.
I'm going to give the Colts a fat 8-8-1. Just an even.
Just out of spite.
An even record.
But you guys really hate ties. Is that why you're throwing it in there? Because I'm here and it's going to annoy
listen,
me. Like, what?
This
Nate,
is American,
you've-
Nate. This is
you've
the
seen
land
it.
of bald eagles. We don't
You've seen
tie.
Ted Lasso. We cannot stand ties.
Yeah, Donovan
Ties.
McNabb
We
didn't
just
even
don't
know
tie.
ties existed.
I mean, I think it's clear. It's going to be the Titans, the Colts, the Jaguars, and then the Texans, right?
Yeah. It's probably the only purely predictable division, right? Like, there's questions everywhere else, but it's pretty clear Titans, Colts, Jaguars.
There's a world
I
where
gotta
Carson
say,
Wentz's
crazy-
booty cheeks
there-
and Lawrence looks amazing,
Yes.
and then it's the Titans, then Jags, and Colts.
There's also a world
That
where
is not happening.
the Texans and
Colts
the
defense
Jags
is way too
flip
good.
too.
That's what I thought.
Right.
No,
There's a
honestly,
world where
why
the
is no
Texans-
one? Why is Nate's gonna like this? Why is there no one saying that there's a world where the Titans, where Julio Jones is injured, which he has already been throughout the preseason, and their entire pass catchers are just AJ Brown and Anthony Ferkser.
Who's enough?
They don't have a
Better
very
than
good
everything
defense,
the Eagles
especially in the
have.
secondary. They can't keep up with these teams, and I'm not saying they'll be bad, but the Colts Wentz
Nah.
could regain some of that 2017 fire with Frank Reich. My instinct
They're
was
gonna
to pick
lose
the
the
Colts,
first 6 games.
honestly. My instinct was to pick the Colts. The schedule, the iffy. You know what? I'm going to be the contrarian. Nate, here you go.
Brian.
I'm going to pick the Colts to win.
There's a few
I'm
times
gonna
in your life,
go.
Brian, where you just made bad decisions, and this is one of those times.
I guess we'll see, but I can't be. I can't.
I like it.
I
could have the
I
Colts.
was
We
my.
could have the
I got to
Colts
trust
win.
my gut. My gut was to pick the Colts. Maybe it's a tiebreaker again. I think the Titans are right there. I think the Titans have the higher ceiling. I think that offense has a chance to be one of the best in the AFC, if not the NFL. But there's some things that can go wrong. You don't have a lot of depth. You lose Derrick Henry, that offense is completely different. You don't have Arthur Smith. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like
yet. You lose
yet.
the Colts, you lose Wentz, the Colts don't win a game.
This is true
get
too.
out of it.
Well, I don't know about that, but so yes, Colts followed closely, ever so closely by the Titans. The Jaguars, I think, are going to be an exciting team to watch, but as Tommy said, this is not their year. They've got a few years before these young players really come to be. And the Texans, optimistically 2 wins. I'm guess it's 1 to 2 wins is the range that I'm putting in them. They're a dumpster fire, and they'll be a dumpster fire until 2022 at the earliest. Okay, so now let's talk about some news. I didn't mention it before we jumped in, but here's your reminder that today's episode is presented by Legit Football. Legit Football, the top 5 NFL stories of the day, delivered to your inbox for free every single morning. Go to legitfootball.com to subscribe or look for a link in the episode description. So the Jets are cursed. Can we start with that? Can we agree that there's always something? I feel bad for Jets fans, and I can feel bad for Jets fans as a Dolphins fan because the Jets have been bad for a long time. Their star free agent signing, who by all accounts and all reports was just tearing it up in training camp in the preseason, Carl Lawson ruptured his Achilles and is out for the season. They also lost today, or maybe it was yesterday, linebacker from their preseason game, linebacker Gerard Davis, formerly of the Lions, for 2 months with an ankle injury. So that defense, I can't tell if that's somebody making that noise or if that's a sound effect. That's throwing me off. Anthony, was that a sound effect? I guess so. Is that like a pain? Like I'm being hurt? Okay. I guess so. Let's just drive that one home. Tommy, I'll start with you on this. How badly do you think this hurts? Robert Saleh's first year, calling the plays on that defense, and they lose Carl Lawson, who by all accounts had a fantastic season, was a great signing. How bad do you think this hurts New York this year?
I feel like it definitely is a huge blow to morale. I don't want to underplay that, but I am immediately going to go to the cynical offensive because I feel like I need to sprinkle that in here. But I saw a report where they're now looking for like a pass rusher to trade for to kind of make up for the losses of Carl Lawson, which is really, really unfortunate. But when I first saw that, I was like, why though? Like, are the Jets, do they think they have this squad right now to win a Super Bowl? Because, like, losing Carl Lawson, huge loss. I completely I don't want to downplay that. But, like, are you going to now use capital to trade for a pass rusher? Not the same ability as Lawson right now, or maybe you can match it, but you'd have to give up a lot more. But, like, once again, why? I feel like this is a great season to try to get some positive momentum. Like, very similar to the Jaguars. I'm very optimistic for them for the first time in a little bit. But why not use this season, see what you have with Zach Wilson or Trevor Lawrence if you're the Jaguars, and just see how excited you could get. And then once you know what you have, then go all in to build around that cheap rookie contract and just kind of building that team around. So when I heard reports that they're kind of now going for a pass rusher, I guess it's because I'm an Eagles fan and we have a joint practice. I'm like, yo, well, we got to pay Josh Sweat and Derek Barnett. You want, like, one of them? And just give us, like, Denzel Mims or, like, Crowder or something? Like, I'd be down to clown with that kind of deal. Which, once again, I don't think they are. I'm just making things up as just a fan. But in all honesty, when I still think about that, I'm like, but, like, if I'm a Jets fan, maybe it's because, you know, I'm obviously you guys know I'm an Eagles fan, and we're not very good. I'll be fully to admit that, and I know I've been saying that. But for me, I much rather have us be terrible and try to get better, like, draft status to get better picks that we can blow so I can be even more frustrated with Howie. But like, I want to be bad. So then I just don't want to be mediocre forever and be like, oh, at least we made the playoffs and got a first round exit. I'm like, nah, dude, I'm not cool with that. I just want to win. So if I'm a Jets fan, it's very, very unfortunate he went down. But to me, I'm just thinking, well, that really sucks. Hopefully he could come back stronger. I know Achilles are really hard to come by, but let's see how Zach continues to do it. Exactly.
So, Will, it is rare that you add to the show notes something actually relevant, and it's usually just a joke. But no, it is a joke, but it's a relevant joke. So, Everson Griffin was just signed by his former team, the Minnesota Vikings. But why don't you enlighten the listeners on what you just added in the show notes?
I mean, I just think it's funny, right? Like, so you get drafted by a team, you play for that team a long time, opt out of your contract, you go somewhere else, and on Twitter he goes, I'm just going to be real. Kirk Cousins is ass. And then, like, people people call him out on it, and he goes, "Ask Zimmer if he wanted Cousins." 3 question marks. And then he goes, "What's up?" Now the Vikings re-sign this guy, and you got to play with Cousins and Zimmer. Like,
that's the greatest
I
thing
mean,
ever.
number
To be
one,
fair, according to Cousins, he's going to have a plastic guard around him and everyone else so he can follow COVID protocol without actually getting a vaccine. So maybe that plastic guard will separate him from Everson Griffin and everything else.
he's gonna have to, bro. Like, straight up, he said Kirk Cousins is ass, like on Twitter, like that's it. So
You make eye
it's
contact
just funny.
with him
Like,
during
number
practice. What do you even say? Did you see that guy? He's
Like,
huge. You're not
number-
confronting him.
I mean, number one, he wasn't wrong, but obviously you got to
You like
apologize,
that?
right? And it's just funny, dude. It's funny that like how this whole like trashy talk NFL
Yeah, sorry I
thing
said that.
and
It's just
how it
before I
comes
knew
out.
I was going to be employed by the same team again, so I guess I take it back while I'm still employed for this team. But
It's just
I
it's
didn't
funny.
mean it.
I don't think there's a
Everything-
really need to just discuss Everson Griffin, but
Yeah,
it's
no,
just
we don't
funny.
have to. That's enough. We can stick at that line. Everything lives forever on social media. So let's go to something that we talked about briefly that Will was eager to talk about, but we'll talk about it now. But I will start with Nate because he is from the AFC South. So Jacksonville coach Urban Meyer has said that the quarterback competition is real between Trevor Lawrence and Gardner Minshew. Now, normally that's just going to be coach talk, but if you actually pay attention to training camp, Minshew is getting pretty much 50% of the first team reps right next to Lawrence. So it does not seem to just be lip service. It seems to be true. He says he has a timetable in mind for when he's going to name a starter, but theoretically it could last until the final preseason game. Before we go to Nate on that, Tommy, you've been following the game. The Jaguars are playing right now. Any updates for Lawrence and Minshew or no?
Well, Lawrence has been throwing a couple of dimes here and there. I just have some real quick updates. It looks like Travis Etienne hurt his foot, and that the tight end over from
Yes. Like you can't be excited when somebody gets injured. What's wrong
I
with
hope
you?
he's okay.
Okay.
and the tight end over for New Orleans,
Eventually.
whose name is escaping me right now, was carted off the field.
Troutman?
Yeah, Troutman.
Adam
Yeah,
Troutman
was carted off the field. I know fantasy implications there are crazy. But the last thing I just wanted to do for my quick update is LASIK Jameis is unbelievable. He went 9 of 10 for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. So and Marquez Callaway caught both touchdowns. So I feel like on the podcast right now, we could just crown him the GOAT right now. Preseason overreactions.
He's a
We
man.
want it.
Okay.
God, like, what a meme. Like, Jameis Winston is just a meme.
9 of
Oh,
10,
he's gonna be a starting
123,
quarterback meme
2
for the Saints.
touchdowns. Unbelievable.
Because do you have Hill's
Until-
stats on there?
Until
we have
he's
stats
not
for Hill?
playing the
Here, give me
freaking
1
B
second.
squad.
I can pull that up.
All right, while he's looking that up,
Jaguars.
Nate, what are your thoughts on the quarterback quote unquote competition between Trevor Lawrence and Gardner Minshew?
Do you want my reasoned, thought out analysis of that, or do you want my
No.
initial reaction?
Initial reaction, please.
He's talking out of his ass. It's like, really? Gardner Minshew couldn't even hold down the job, and it was given to Jake Luton, albeit temporarily, right? No.
So what do you think the reasoning is in giving Minshew so many? Is it really just for trade bait?
It could be a number of things. My book is probably he wants to light a fire under Trevor Lawrence. It's something we used to see as a Alex Ferguson special. He was a Manchester United manager, and he would every now and then, if a player wasn't playing particularly well, even if he knew he wasn't going to get dropped, he'd just give him a little bit of a, he's not doing this, he's not working hard enough, he's not doing this.
So for
it's
the
just
American
man
listeners,
management. It's
when
just man
Ted
management.
Lasso benches Jamie Tart in order to light a
Exactly.
fire. Okay, see there. Now we brought it back.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah, no, it's man management. It's Urban Meyer playing Trevor Lawrence and saying, "You haven't won anything yet, dude. Stick at it."
It's
Improve."
absolutely
Tommy, any-
That's all it
any
is.
up?
Yeah, I have an update for
There's a
the
whole bunch of
stat
people
line. It's
talking about this.
halftime right
Okay,
now.
good.
Taysom Hill is 6 of 13, 86 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, but he did get sacked twice already. So halftime, he's 6 of 13, 86 yards. That's it. Whereas Jameis, once again, 9 of 10, 123, 2 touchdowns.
Okay, can we all agree Jameis will be starting
Yeah.
week 1 for the Saints?
One thing I wanted to add
all
real
right, so
quick
this
is you
next
keep
piece-
bringing up Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Literally have no idea what you're talking about. Is that a dude?
Well,
that's no surprise, Tommy. You don't watch shows or movies or anything fun.
Say, don't tell him. Go and find out yourself, and you'll love it.
No, Tommy doesn't watch stuff.
Well, watch it.
Nate, if you've ever listened to one of our Flavor of the Weeks, Tommy doesn't.
Like,
watch
I'm not even
the
joking. I
palate cleansers.
legitimately have never heard of this in my entire life until right now.
It's sports, at least. So it's a show on Apple TV, and I want to cover it on a palate cleanser eventually.
Know. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
So on Apple TV, it's about a college football coach. A college football coach who gets hired by a Premier League team in the UK.
Oh, I love both of those
to go
things.
and coach their team. So there you go.
All right,
watch it so we can actually cover it on a palate cleanser.
Gotta.
All right, let's move on.
Ride the high seas.
Add that to the list of all the things I've told you to watch that you have watched none of. Okay, Seahawks. We're gonna quickly. I don't really want to analyze this because there is something I do want to talk about.
I didn't get to weigh in, and I talked about it 5 times. And
you're right. Fair enough.
All I'm going to say is that Nate was 100% correct. It's very transparent who Urban Meyer is, and this is a textbook Urban Meyer play to just kind of humble Trevor Lawrence, bring up Gardner, say that you didn't earn anything, right? This is a textbook Urban Meyer. Whether it's smart or not, I mean,
he's
who knows?
losing half of his reps as a rookie.
He could be. I mean, he could be looking for the long term, right? He could think this is the right long term play for Trevor Lawrence, or they could use both of them. I mean, dude, who knows? He's a wild card in the league, or again, they could be just aiming to get good draft capital. I mean, Gardner Minshew is not horrible, and can we all agree? I think we can agree on this. This is the last thing I'll say about this battle, and it's not that serious. But we want Gardner Minshew to be a quarterback in the NFL, right?
I love Gardner Minshew.
He should be playing somewhere.
Exactly, right? Can we just agree that I would rather see Gardner Minshew than Carson Wentz?
Put him in Denver. Put him in Denver.
Put him in Denver. 100%, bro. 100%.
I can name 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 quarterbacks that I'd rather have Gardner Minshew. Jared Goff.
There we go.
Especially with that money. Good lord.
Wait, I want to hear all 9. You can name 9. Go. 1, Goff.
All right. 9. Taysom Hill, Goff.
He's not a starter. That doesn't count.
At this stage, Derek Carr.
At this stage, we don't know.
I think
Derek Carr?
I think Derek Carr's done.
Okay.
Who's that?
This is spicy.
Who is that? Who is the idiot? Who is that idiot in... Cousins. Who is that idiot
Cousins?
in...
He's ass.
In Denver.
We already established that.
Drew Lock.
Lock / Bridgewater.
That's 4.
Drew Lock and
Bridgewater. Throw him in there too. Yeah.
4. Who else?
You said 9.
I'm struggling.
Andy Dalton, dude.
5. He got Lock and Bridgewater.
Roethlisberger. His shoulder's gone. He's old. Get rid of him.
Roethlisberger.
Yes. Too much
right
money.
Now, yeah.
4 more.
Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton?
Yeah, that's probably it, actually. Oh, no, Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes.
Jimmy
Garoppolo.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Jimmy G?
7.
Jimmy G, yeah. It's all right,
8?
7. I'm going to leave it at 7.
No, you're at 8.
All right, 8. Then.
Okay, good. So let's move on.
Tyrod Taylor?
No, I'd take Taylor over Minshew.
No, I think
I'd take Tyrod Taylor over Minshew? Yeah, 100%.
All right, so before we spend 20 minutes on this one topic, it's already ended up being a long episode. You know what? I'm going to quickly mention this, and we're not even going to comment on it. So the Seahawks did finally sign safety Jamal Adams, largest deal for a safety in NFL history, 4 years, $70 million, $38 million guaranteed. But what I want to talk about is what happened to Cam Newton. Do you guys know the story that broke today? So
it got some error or something.
Yes. So Cam got permission from the Patriots to go off, not campus or whatever, go travel, and
to go have sex.
Probably it's Cam Newton. You never know. But as someone who is unvaccinated, part of the procedure, one of the rules for an unvaccinated player is they have to test daily. So he got permission from the Patriots to get tested while he was out on his little sex sabbatical or whatever it was. But it turns out that's against league rules. You can't get yourself tested by yourself off the. So he has been a violation. He cannot practice until Thursday. That might seem.
Wait, you can't get yourself tested? You mean the NFL has to test you?
Yes, you have to be tested on an NFL facility. Apparently, the Patriots took the blame for this. They said, "Oh yeah, we told them we could do." So first of all, is there a conspiracy there? Did they do? Oh yeah, Cam, go ahead, get tested. Mac Jones. Now we have an excuse to start him. I don't think Bill would actually do that because Bill doesn't care.
I think Bill would absolutely.
Cam, to Cam's credit, and I know that's not what you were talking about, he didn't look bad.
No, he looked good actually, but so did Mac. The Patriots
McCorkle always looks good.
They looked very strong. McCorkle has looked very efficient in that offense. But here's the thing. Here's the implications, because he'll be back Thursday. It doesn't necessarily have long-term implications. He doesn't have COVID. He's still testing negative. He cannot practice with the team until Thursday. But that means that Mac Jones, McCorkle, he's looked good in the preseason, but throughout almost the entirety of training camp has been practicing with the second team. Now he will be with the first team for basically the whole week of practice. That's significant. That means that Josh McDaniels, Bill Belichick is going to see Mac Jones with the starters, with that starting offensive line. Maybe that skews them more to start him earlier rather than later. Anybody else have any takes on the Cam situation? I think it's funny.
It's Cam's job to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked like ace, and he's on ass last year. He looked really bad. This year so far, he's looked good, and I think that's kind of bought him that number one seat to lose.
Who did they just? I'm
sure.
blanking on who they just played in the preseason. They crushed them. Who did they just play?
The Eagles.
Yeah, checks out. Yeah. They
Flacco
beat us like 45-0 or something
Tommy.
crazy like that.
That team was. The Eagles looked horrible.
Brian loves steering it to thrash my Eagles for reason. Like, he's just driving on the road.
Talking about Cam.
There's literally a deer across the street. He's like, oh no! Clunk! Oh, I'm so sorry. The Eagles suck.
Deer
And I'm
was
like,
wearing
what happened?
An Eagles jersey, so.
Talking about the Patriots, he's like,
Deer was wearing an Eagles jersey.
The Eagles, though.
They
I like how we talk
about
about Cam Newton COVID BS steers
Eagles
into
suck.
Also the Eagles are bad.
It's like that Wikipedia game that you play in a certain amount of clicks. You want to get to like Jesus or God. That's what Brian does with the conversation. I had to be like, how do I get to the Eagles suck?
Now that I've trashed the Eagles, I have to do it at least once a show. I want to wrap it up. I want to get from each of you a take of the preseason. It can be good, it can be bad, what you like. What's something you've noticed? Nate, as our guest, I'll start with you. What's one hot take, good or bad, so far through 2 weeks of the preseason?
I hate preseason.
I
don't watch any of the games. I hate it. It's rubbish, and players get injured, and it just ruins fantasy football. And put it in the bin.
The preseason is rubbish. Quote Nate Orrow. All right, Tommy, we'll go to you next. What's your hot take for the preseason?
Keep mine real short. LASIK Jameis is for real. I cannot wait to watch New Orleans right now.
Stop it.
He's for real.
Will, your counter. Hot take preseason.
Dude, like, for somebody who finds me like their mortal nemesis, I agree with Nate like 85% of the time. I love Nate. I also hate the preseason. I think it's the most it's just awful. Like, we could go down to one preseason game. One preseason game is all we need, but I'm excited to get into the real year. And see teams really try to hash it out. Kind of fast forward even a few weeks to get through all of the initial like coachy, this is the right way to kick off the year, and get into the ridiculous decisions like pulling Ryan Fitzpatrick for Tua for no reason, stuff that happens like midway through the year out of nowhere, ill-advised and probably not the right thing for anybody.
See, Tommy, there's some Dolphins trashing just to even things out.
No, that was just a bad decision.
Wasn't me.
That was a Tua trash, if anything. So no, man, it's there's a lot to be excited about this year for sure. And even though Delta's back, I mean, we're still going to games. It's going to be a good time. So super spreader, here we come.
Well, Nate and Will are two sides of the same coin, it appears, and Tommy and I actually brought analysis, so I'll add to that because I thought this was a serious take. But I also hate the preseason, just so we're clear, not a fan, but I'm also a football-obsessed podcaster, so I needed to watch what I can. My take is that the Bears' offense is awful with Andy Dalton. And they're not that much better with Fields, but at least Fields makes it interesting. But man, I have now watched. Obviously, they played the Dolphins in Week 1 of the preseason, and they just played. I can't remember who they played. Oh, the Bills, and the offense could not move the ball. Dalton looked horrible. He threw one long bomb that the receiver went and got, but other than that, just putrid offense with the starting offensive line, with the starting wide receivers. So if they start Dalton week 1, they're morons, Matt Nagy.
They're going to.
I know they're going to, but that means they're morons, and they're trying to have their jobs be gone.
How satisfying was it for I forget his name, the guy Mitch Trubisky?
Trubisky. That's more of a knock on Nagy.
That game.
Trubisky looked like one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. I know it's the preseason, but he looked.
Hang on, and I'm going to give Wiener some credit. Like, the Bills coaching staff has made Josh Allen arguably the best quarterback in the league. Like, if they can do, thank you. If they could do that with Josh Allen, they could do it with Mitch Trubisky. I swear to God, you could take Tim Tebow and put him in Buffalo, and he would be MVP level.
Oh,
so
my word.
Here's my add-on to that because of that exact comment. Brian Daboll, if they have another solid season, just seeing what he did with Trubisky, Daboll's a head coach in 2022. He has to. I'm surprised he didn't get more looks this year. What he's done to Josh Allen, and I know it was a preseason, but Trubisky, I've never seen him look that good. So, yeah, maybe it is Nagy's a bad coach and Daboll's and Sean McDermott much better coaches. Okay, well, I'm pretty sure we're closing in on the hour and a half mark. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. Quick reminder that we are getting closer to the start of the league year, which means we have our DFS leagues. We have details. Tommy was out, but I guess he listened to the episode. We do have actual details now. One of the leagues will be weekly and free, which means you can drop in and drop out. Will is distracting me with some sort of, is that your Josh Allen jersey thing? Okay.
Nope, just keep going. I didn't say anything.
We have a weekly DFS league. You can join one week, not join another week, but there will be cash prizes and meme hats that Will has worn. Hopefully he's washed them. We'll have over $50 in prizes each week, and we will also have a season-long DFS league. There's no limit to either of these. So if you're like, they've probably filled it by now, no, reach out to us. We have about 15 people on the weekly, probably have about 6 or 7 on the season-long. The season-long is only going to be a $25 entry fee. There'll be cash prizes every week and a cash prize at the end for the top 3. So reach out to us on social media. Official PP Pod on Twitter, or send us an email at pigskinpartypodcast@gmail.com. Nate, I think it's like 3 a.m. where you are. Nate Orrow, let us know, let the listeners know where they can hear your stuff.
Okay, so on Twitter, you've got Tough Show Official, and then we're everywhere that does good, hosts good podcasts. You can find us literally everywhere, including tons of places I didn't know about. I keep finding other places. I was like, look. Here we are. So everywhere, literally everywhere. Go find us. Come and listen to our show and laugh at how inept we are. We got a predictions show coming up this week, and it's going to be wonderfully stupid.
Yeah, make sure to listen to the Un-American Football Show with Nate and his co-host.
Name it.
Yes, that's all right. That's what I'm here for.
Cheers, Brian.
One of his co-hosts is our writer, Ross Crawford. So we do have some regular ties to the Un-American Football Show. Thank you, as always, for listening. Make sure to subscribe, tell your friends, continue to leave us those 5-star reviews. Check us out on Twitter, official PP Pod. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Sign up for Legit Football at legitfootball.com. We have one team deep dive left. We're going to do that on the flavor of the week. We're going to go deep on the Cardinals. So thank you all for listening, and make sure to stick around for the flavor of the week.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Pigskin Party Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate that effort. We'll catch you in the next Pigskin Party.